First contact in the cold wind howled across the frozen planet. Snow fell like tiny blades, sharp and cold. It was always winter here. Dark skies, no sun, and no signs of life, at least, not anymore. Corporal Jack Rayner walked slowly through the white desert, his boots crunching the snow beneath. He had been on this ice world for 3 days, scouting for anything strange. The war had ended last month, but Command sent him to check for leftover tech or escape pods. Honestly, he just wanted to go home. Earth, warmth, pizza. Even traffic would be better than this cold silence. He wiped the frost from his visor and stopped. Something ahead was glowing faintly in the snow. Jack raised his rifle and moved closer. His heart beat faster. As he got nearer, he saw it clearly, a crashed pod, half buried in ice. Alien design, smooth metal, with glowing blue lines running along the sides. The door was cracked open. Steam hissed out. Jack whispered to himself, "Well, that's not human." He aimed his light inside. There, curled in the corner, was a figure. Small, thin, and shaking. It was a girl, but not human. Her skin was silver blue, almost glassy. Her eyes were large, black like the night sky. She had markings on her face, bright, like glowing tattoos. She wore a suit, torn and burned. One leg was bleeding. Her chest rose and fell fast. She was breathing, but barely. Jack lowered his gun. "Hey," he said softly. "Are you okay?" The alien girl flinched. She looked up, her eyes wide with fear. She hissed sharp and animal-like and pressed back against the wall of the pod. Jack raised both hands, showing he meant no harm. "Easy. I'm not gonna hurt you." She didn't understand the words, but maybe she understood the tone. Jack looked at her, shivering and weak, and did something she didn't expect. He took off his backpack, pulled out a survival blanket, soft, silver, and warm, and slowly held it out to her. Her eyes locked onto the blanket. She looked confused. Was it a trap? A trick? She sniffed the air, then reached out slowly. Her fingers touched the blanket just a little. Suddenly, a light shimmered around her body. The cuts on her leg began to close. Her skin glowed brighter. The tattoos pulsed like a heartbeat. Jack blinked. "What the hell?" She stared at him, shocked. Then, for the first time, she spoke in broken, robotic English, like someone who had only just learned the words. "Why? Predator offer comfort?" Jack raised an eyebrow. "Predator? Lady, I just gave you a blanket." The alien girl didn't smile, but her face softened. She pulled the blanket around herself and sank back into the corner, still weak, but calmer now. Jack sat down just outside the pod, rifle across his lap. Snow blew around them. He glanced inside again. "You got a name?" She said nothing, just looked at him, like she was trying to figure him out. Jack sighed. "All right, I'll just call you Luna." "Yeah, that fits." There was a long silence between them. Only the wind spoke. Then, far away, something moved. Jack looked up quickly. On the horizon, a shape stood in the snow, tall, thin, and watching. He grabbed his rifle and stood. "Don't move," he whispered to Luna. The figure didn't come closer. It just stood there like a shadow. Then it raised something, maybe a scanner. A red light blinked. Jack raised his scope, but before he could get a good look, the figure vanished into the snowstorm. He lowered his weapon slowly. Someone or something was looking for her. He turned to Luna. "All right, time to move. You've got company." She looked at him, eyes full of fear. But this time, she didn't back away. She reached out and took his hand. Jack helped her out of the pod, wrapped the blanket tighter around her, and led her toward the mountains. His communicator was dead. No signal, no backup. But he wasn't leaving her here. Not now. Not if this war. Snow crunched under Jack's boots as he moved through the icy ravine, carefully helping the alien girl Luna along the narrow trail. She walked slowly, shivering under the survival blanket, still weak, but no longer bleeding. Her glowing eyes flicked around nervously, like she expected something or someone to jump out at any moment. Jack spoke in a low voice, mostly to himself. "All right, Rayner, let's take stock." Stranded on a frozen rock, no backup, no working comms. carrying a possibly radioactive alien girl who lights up like a Christmas tree when she's scared. Yep, perfect vacation. Luna tilted her head, not understanding the words, but catching the sarcasm in his tone. He glanced at her. You even know what a Christmas tree is? She blinked. Tree that celebrates war ending? Jack laughed once, surprised. Close enough. They reached a small cave in the rocks, a scout shelter Jack had built 2 days ago, just big enough for one person. Now, it had to fit two. Jack cleared the snow inside and helped Luna sit near the heater unit. The cave was still cold, but not death cold. She sat quietly, hands wrapped in the blanket, eyes staring into the heater's red glow. Jack offered her a protein bar. She sniffed it suspiciously, then took a tiny bite and immediately spat it out. He chuckled. Yeah, tastes like plastic, right? Welcome to human food. Luna looked at him seriously. You give warmth. You give food. You are not predator. Jack tilted his head. Is that how you see humans? Predators? She hesitated. Many, yes. Some. No, you are different. Jack nodded slowly. That's fair. A long silence passed. Outside, the wind screamed like a dying machine. Then, she spoke again. They will come. The ones who hunt. Jack stiffened. Who? The shadow I saw? She nodded. Not shadow. Not machine. Not alive. They are grown, not born. That sent a chill through him colder than the wind. Jack sat down across from her. Start talking. Who are you? And who's after you? Luna looked away. Her voice was quiet. I was made in a lab, not by your kind, by mine. A project, bioengineered, fast healing, telepathic, a living weapon. Jack's jaw clenched. You're telling me you're a super soldier? She shook her head. I was never soldier. I escaped before training, before activation. I ran. I didn't want to be a thing, a tool. Jack leaned back, exhaling. So they're after you because you refuse to be a weapon. Luna nodded. They call me Defect. Jack looked at her, this fragile, glowing girl wrapped in a silver blanket, scared and tired, yet still holding herself with dignity. You're not a defect, he said. You're the only one with sense. Her lips curled slightly, almost a smile, but then static. A sound, faint, electronic. Jack jumped to his feet, grabbing his rifle. From his pack, a tiny red light blinked on the emergency beacon. Dead for days was suddenly receiving a signal, but not from Earth Command. Someone's trying to lock on, Jack whispered. Luna stood too, panic in her eyes. Then a thump, a deep, echoing sound from outside, like something heavy landed in the snow. Jack turned off the heater. Darkness swallowed the cave. Another thump. Closer. Jack moved to the cave entrance, staying low. He peeked out. A large shape moved through the storm. Humanoid, but wrong. Its head had no face, just a glowing scanner. Long arms, mechanical joints, but its body pulsed with veins and wires, part machine, part flesh. Luna whispered. Hunter class. Extractor. Model 4. Designed for one task. Retrieve escaped assets. Alive or broken. Jack muttered. Fan-freaking-tastic. The hunter stopped just 10 meters from the cave. It turned its head, scanning. Jack held his breath. Luna reached out and placed her hand on the cave wall. A pulse of light spread through the stone like sonar. The hunter froze. It twitched once, then turned the other way and walked on, disappearing into the storm. Jack stared at her, wide-eyed. What did you just do? I made it think. We are somewhere else. Jack blinked. Okay, remind me to never play hide and seek with you. She looked at him. We are not safe. More will come. They never send one. Jack nodded. Then we move. I know a hidden comms tower about 12 kilometers west. We get there, call for evac, and get you off this rock. Luna hesitated. You help, even if it means your death? Jack stood, slinging his rifle. Yeah, welcome to humanity. He offered her a hand again. She took it. As they left the cave, the storm grew stronger. But behind them, on the ridge above, 2 more hunters arrived. One of them bent down, picked up a piece of glowing fabric that had torn from Luna's blanket. The other one spoke for the first time in perfect, cold English. Target located. Begin extraction. The hunters' Arivith storm had grown cruel. Snow slammed into their faces like frozen knives. The sky was a swirling, angry sea of white. Jack held Luna close as they climbed over jagged ice hills. His arms were numb. His legs ached. But he didn't stop. Not while they were being hunted. They had already walked for hours. The Combs Tower, a small relay station built by the early colonists, was their only hope. It stood on a rocky ridge just past the Black Forest. Still 5 kilometers away, Jack kept looking over his shoulder. Nothing yet. But he knew they were coming. Luna stumbled again. Jack caught her before she fell. You okay? He asked. She nodded weakly. Cold. But I can walk. He frowned. You're glowing less. Is that bad? She didn't answer. Suddenly, a sharp, high-pitched noise cut through the storm like metal screaming. Jack grabbed Luna and pulled her behind an ice boulder. A black shape flew overhead, silent, fast. Not human. It hovered for a second, then shot off toward the west. Luna whispered, they are spreading out. They are tracking heat, energy, fear. Jack raised an eyebrow. Fear? She looked down. They can taste it. It leaves a trail. Well, Jack muttered. I'll try not to wet myself then. They moved quickly, staying low, using the landscape for cover. Eventually, they reached the edge of the forest. The trees were tall and thin, black as oil, their branches covered in sharp icicles. Jack had passed through here once before. It was creepy even when you weren't being chased by bioengineered space murder bots. They moved between the trees, careful not to snap branches or disturb the ice. Every sound seemed louder here. Every step echoed. Then a click. Jack froze. He looked down. A small metal disc, half buried in snow. Red light blinking. Luna gasped. Trip mine, not yours. Theirs. Jack had half a second. He grabbed Luna and dove behind a tree. Boom. The explosion shook the forest. Snow and smoke blasted into the air. Ice cracked and rained down from the branches. Jack groaned. Ears ring. Luna? You okay? She nodded, coughing. But now, the hunters knew. Jack heard the sound before he saw them. Heavy footsteps. Crunch. 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 3 of them. They moved like wolves, fast, low, quiet. Not machines. Not alive. Something in between. One of them walked with long, blade-like legs. Another crawled through the trees, its arms too long, joints bending wrong. The third was tall and regal, its face hidden behind a mask of shifting metal. This one carried no weapon. It was the weapon. Luna's breathing quickened. They are not just machines, she whispered. They think. They learn. They remember. Pain. Jack raised his rifle. The tall hunter turned toward. No, Jack muttered. Too close for a fair fight. He fired 3 rounds. The bullets hit but did nothing. The tall hunter didn't even flinch. It moved fast, too fast. It was suddenly in front of him. It raised one arm. A long blade slid out. Jack backed up, slipped on ice, fell hard. The blade came down and stopped. Luna stood between them, hand raised. The air shimmered. The blade hovered inches from her face. The hunter twitched. Its mask glitched, flickering. You are not allowed, Luna said in a strange voice, calm, deep, inhuman. For a second, everything froze. Then the hunter screamed. Not a sound of pain but of static and rage. It swung at her but missed. A shockwave exploded from Luna's body, throwing all 3 hunters backward. Trees cracked. Snow exploded. Jack rolled, covering his head. When he looked up, the hunters were gone, vanished. Luna collapsed. Jack ran to her. Hey, stay with me. Her eyes fluttered. Too much power, too fast. Jack lifted her carefully. We're almost there. Just hang on. They reached the top of the ridge an hour later. Jack's legs barely worked. His breath came in sharp gasps. But there it was. The old Combs Tower, tall, rusted, leaning slightly to one side, but still standing. Jack kicked open the small door. Inside, ancient equipment blinked slowly, dusty but alive. He placed Luna on the floor and ran to the console. "Come on, old girl," he whispered, turning knobs, flipping switches. The screen lit up. Static. He tried to connect to orbit. Nothing. He adjusted the antenna manually. Still nothing. Then ping. Connection. Weak, but real. Jack hit the button. "This is Corporal Jack Rayner, 3-6. Emergency situation. Alien contact non-hostile. Hostile units inbound. Request evac immediately." Static. Then voice. "Copy, Recon 6. We hear you. Coordinates. Locked. Evac shuttle ETA 18 minutes. Sit tight." Jack sat back, laughing out loud. "Luna, we did it." But she didn't answer. Her eyes were open but distant. Jack crawled over to her. "Hey, Luna, wake up." She blinked. "They changed their minds." "What do you mean?" "They are not here to capture anymore. Now, they plan to erase." Jack heard it then. Outside, the sound of dozens of footsteps. Thump, 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 from every side. Surrounding the tower, Jack stood, heart pounding. He checked his ammo. 3 bullets. That was it. He looked at Luna. "Can you do that shockwave thing again?" She shook her head. "Too weak." He looked out the window. Dozens of shapes in the snow, all moving slowly, all getting closer. Jack sighed. "All right then." He stood in the doorway of the tower, rifle in hand. "I got 3 bullets," he muttered, "but I've got a lot of attitude." One of the hunters stepped forward. The tall one. It raised its hand, and the sky opened. A ship above. Huge, dark, silent, and from it, something began to fall. A weapon, person armored, glowing, falling fast. Jack stared. "What the hell is that?" Luna looked up. "Not one of them," she whispered. "Not one of us." Jack squinted. "Then who?" Boom. The figure hit the ground like thunder, and stood up, eyes glowing gold, looking straight at Jack and Luna, and then it spoke loud, clear, and in perfect human English. "Step away from the asset." The refuge and the Rioth wind had gone quiet. Jack stood in the doorway of the tower, rifle ready, staring at the figure that just fell from the sky. The golden armored stranger stood tall in the snow, motionless, eyes glowing like fire. And then it spoke again. "Step away from the asset." Jack blinked. "You're gonna have to be more specific. I've got like 3 assets, and 2 of them are frozen toes." The figure didn't laugh. He stepped forward. The snow melted beneath his boots. That wasn't normal. Nothing about him was normal. Luna stirred behind Jack, her voice soft. "He is not Hunter, not like them, but he is not safe either." Jack nodded slowly. "I'm starting to hate surprises." He raised his rifle again. The figure held up one hand. A blue shield shimmered around him. Jack sighed. "Of course, you've got a shield." From behind the figure, a sound broke the stillness. A ship, a sleek human shuttle, landed just behind him, the EarthGov symbol shining on the hull. More soldiers stepped out, all human, all heavily armed. Jack lowered his rifle just an inch. "Wait, you're from Earth? You're here to help?" The golden man answered. "Negative. We're here to contain." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Contain? She's not a threat." The man pointed at Luna. "She's a bio-weapon with unpredictable abilities, created by an alien war faction, and currently interfering with classified Earth military operations." "She's a person," Jack snapped. The soldier paused. "That's not our concern." Then he spoke into his helmet mic. "Prepare extraction. Asset and subject Rayner alive if possible." Jack stepped between them. "You're not taking her anywhere." The soldier's voice darkened. "Corporal Rayner, this is a direct order. Stand down." Jack didn't move. Behind him, Luna slowly rose to her feet. Her strength was returning. Just a little. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim tower light. She whispered, "Jack, let me go. I don't want anyone hurt." He didn't look back. "Not happening. We survived hunters together. I'm not handing you over to people who treat you like a science project." Suddenly, boom, a flashbang grenade exploded just outside the door. Smoke poured in. Red laser sights lit up through the haze. Jack grabbed Luna's hand. "Back door." Now, they ran through the tower, slipping down a maintenance ladder. The base of the tower had a supply tunnel. Jack had mapped it on his first mission. It led deep underground. They slipped into the darkness. Gunfire echoed above. Boots stomped after them. The chase was on. Underground, the tunnel was cold and damp. Jack's flashlight flickered. Luna moved beside him silently, her bare feet almost floating over the ground. Jack stopped at a fork in the tunnel. Left goes to an old mining shaft. Right leads to a rebel supply outpost long abandoned. But we might find gear. Luna didn't answer. Her eyes were closed, listening. Then she whispered. They split. 2 squads, left and right. Jack frowned. You heard that? She shook her head. I felt it, he muttered. Remind me to never lie to you. They took the center path, barely a crawl space. Jack went first, dragging his rifle behind him. The tunnel opened up into a cave lit by glowing moss. Inside were old crates, broken tools, and somehow working power cell. Jack grinned. All right, that's something. But Luna stood still, her face pale. He followed her gaze. A mural, painted on the rock wall. Old, faded, but clear. It showed a being tall, with glowing eyes standing between 2 armies. One alien, one human. Weapons dropped at their feet. Peace, forced by power. Jack stepped closer. This looks like. Luna nodded slowly. This was seen long ago. A vision by one of my kind. A warning or a prophecy. A hybrid would rise. One made of both light and fire. It would choose between unity or destruction. Jack looked at her. You think that's you? She didn't answer. Then boom. The cave wall exploded behind them. Soldiers poured in, guns up. Jack fired 2 shots. Took cover. Returned fire. A bullet hit the power cell beastie. Sparks exploded. Luna stepped forward. Jack shouted, Luna, no. But she raised her arms, and the room changed. The air thickened. Sounds warped. The soldiers dropped their weapons, confused. One of them cried out, clutching his head. Luna's voice echoed not with words, but with emotion, fear, pain, memories. Images flashed in the soldiers' minds. Luna's past, her creation, her escape, the hunters, the cold. Jack's hand reaching out with the blanket, and her face, full of confusion, slowly learning kindness. The soldiers froze. One dropped to his knees, whispering, she's not dangerous, she's afraid. The golden armored men entered last. His visor flickered. You've bonded with them, he said. You've infected them. Luna looked at him calmly. No, showed them the truth. You hide behind orders. I show what's real. He raised his weapon. Jack raised his rifle too. And then another voice echoed through the cave. Enough. Everyone turned. An old man stepped out of the shadows. Gray hair, metal arm, general's badge on his chest. Jack blinked. General Halverson, I thought you were dead. The old man smirked. Almost was, but I've been watching, listening, and I've seen enough. He looked at Luna. She's not a weapon, she's a choice. The golden soldier frowned. Sir, you can't possibly trust. Shut up, the general growled. He turned to Luna. You're scared. I get that. We all are. But you've got something none of us understand. And we've got something you never had. Luna tilted her head. What is that? He smiled. Freedom. Aftermath. The soldiers lowered their weapons. The golden man didn't like it, but he stood down. The general called off the extraction. Jack and Luna were allowed to stay hidden while a plan was formed. One that didn't involve cages or labs. Luna sat near a small campfire hours later. Jack beside her. He handed her a warm drink. So, you're a prophecy, a cosmic peace unicorn. How's that feel? She looked at the fire. Heavy, he smiled. We'll carry it together. She looked at him, and, for the first time, she smiled back. But above them, far beyond the stars, something watched. A cold intelligence, mechanical, awake, and deeply interested in Luna's next move. Humanity's HFY ship hovered above the frozen ridge, its lights cutting through the snow like twin suns. Jack stood inside the command bay, arms crossed, trying to ignore the heavy stares of the officers around him. At the center of the room stood Luna, no longer just a frightened alien girl wrapped in a survival blanket, but something more. Her skin shimmered faintly under the lights. Her eyes, once scared and unsure, now held something deeper: awareness, control, and pain. General Halverson paced slowly across the floor, boots echoing. We've confirmed the psychic pulse she released affected all units within a half-kilometer radius. No deaths. Some trauma. One soldier now wants to adopt a turtle and live on a beach. Weird, but manageable. Jack grinned. Sounds like she knocked some humanity into them. The general didn't smile. Raynor, you know I like you, but we're balancing on a razor here. Luna isn't just some visitor. She's a wild card, and wild cards don't sit well with the brass. Luna tilted her head. Wild card. Dangerous. Jack stepped forward. It means unpredictable, not bad. Just not easy to control. She nodded slowly. Good. A soft chuckle escaped Jack. Yeah, kinda figured you'd like that. The general rubbed his temples. Here's the problem. She's been scanned. Her brain activity is off the charts. Not even close to human or any known alien species. Half the labs want to study her. The other half want to weaponize her. Luna's expression didn't change, but Jack saw her hand tighten into a fist. What about the third half? Jack asked. The general gave him a look. Cute. He turned serious again. We have to make a decision soon, before someone else does it for us. Later that night, the ship's halls were quiet. Luna sat alone in a small observation chamber, watching Earth on the giant monitor. Her eyes traced the blue oceans, the green continents, the swirling clouds. It was beautiful, but also fragile. Jack entered quietly. Couldn't sleep? She shook her head. So many thoughts, some mine, some not. He sat beside her. What do you mean? She hesitated. When the hunters were near, I heard them. Their minds. But something else too. Deeper, older. A signal inside their signal. Jack frowned. You think they're being controlled? No, she whispered. Worse. They're just the fingers. Something else is the hand. Before Jack could answer, the monitor flickered, and then the lights went out. Warning. Internal breach detected. The siren screamed through the ship. Jack stood. Stay here. He ran into the hallway, rifle ready. Down the corridor. Sparks burst from the walls. Doors locked. Emergency lights blinked. Then he saw black smoke twisting down the hallway. But it wasn't smoke. It moved with purpose. Luna stepped into the corridor behind him. Luna, I told you. But then she froze. Her eyes widened. It's here. Out of the smoke came a figure, not metal, not flesh. Something in dash between. It didn't walk. It glided. Jack raised his rifle. Identify yourself. The creature stopped. No face, no mouth, just a shifting black surface like oil reflecting starlight. And then it spoke into their minds. You woke her. That was not your right. Jack flinched. Luna, what is this? She whispered. It's a construct. A warden of the old systems. I've read about them. In the memories left inside me. Jack blinked. There are memories inside you? She nodded. Not mine. Planted. Buried. The construct hovered closer. She was not meant to choose. She was designed to obey. Jack stepped in front of her. Yeah, well, she doesn't follow your programming anymore. A low sound filled the hallway like ancient machines grinding to life. Then she is a failure, and failures must be erased. The construct lashed out. Jack fired, but the bullets dissolved mid-air. Luna raised her hand, and for a moment, time bent. The hallway twisted, light slowed. She pushed forward, her voice like thunder. No. The construct screamed and vanished, banished by a wave of energy Jack couldn't even describe. He stared at her. You just fried a goddamn extra-dimensional AI with your feelings. She collapsed in his arms. EarthGov HQ 1 week Earth room was filled with the most powerful leaders on Earth. Generals, scientists, presidents, prime ministers, all gathered to watch a girl who, just 2 weeks ago, didn't even know what socks. Luna stood at the center. Jack stood behind her, arms crossed. General Halverson paced in the shadows. One of the politicians stepped forward. So, we're to believe this girl, this experiment defeated a being that predates our star system? Luna didn't flinch. I didn't defeat it. I rejected it. Murmurs filled the room. Jack spoke up. She made a choice. Something those machines can't understand. And that's what scares them. Another general leaned forward. If we keep her, we risk drawing more attention from these old systems. If we use her, we might win our wars. But if we protect her, we might lose everything. Another whispered. Halverson stepped forward. Or, we might prove something. That being human means more than power. It means knowing when not to use it. The room fell silent. Luna raised her voice. Quiet but strong. I don't want to be used. I don't want to fight. But I will protect those who give me a choice. Because that is what makes you different. Outside. Hours later, Jack and Luna walked through a park near the HQU. He had insisted she see real Earth grass at least once. Birds chirped. The sky was blue. You did good in there, Jack said. Didn't even psychically blast anyone into a tree. She smiled. Progress. He looked at her. So, what now? She looked up. Now, we prepare. For what? She didn't answer at first. Then she said, they were just the fingers. The hand is coming. Far away. In the void between galaxies, a structure stirred. A great machine, buried in time, opened its eyes. A signal flashed across the stars. One word. Awaken. Blanket of fire. The night. Luna vanished. Earth changed. 1 second. She was standing on the roof of EarthGov HQ with Jack watching the stars, laughing at his terrible jokes. The next, a ripple split the sky. Silent. Silver. A needle-thin ship descended, cloaked in tech Earth couldn't even detect. Before Jack could blink, she was gone. No sound. No struggle. Just gone, like the universe had pulled her back. He screamed her name into the sky until his voice cracked. And then he vanished too, but by his own choice. 2 weeks later, unknown space. A stolen ship rattled violently as Jack overrode another firewall. Sweat dripped down his forehead as sparks flew from the console. The AI protested loudly in a British accent. Warning, you are not authorized to command a Type 9 stealth corvette. Also, your piloting is atrocious. Jack ignored it. Shut up, Gary. My name is not Jerry. I am. Shut up, Gary. He slammed one last button. The hologram of a star map appeared. At the center, a blinking red dot. A signal. Her signal. He stared at it, jaw clenched. Hang on, Luna. He had been tracking her through fractured data, corrupted quantum pings, and a signal that seemed to phase in and out of existence. Only one place matched the signature. The Forge. An ancient station orbiting a dying star, built by the same architects who created Luna's kind. A place forgotten by time, and now reactivated for one purpose: to extract her power. Inside the Forge, Luna hung in the center of the chamber, suspended in a sphere of shimmering energy. Her body floated, still and glowing faintly. Wires ran from her spine. Her eyes were closed, but her mind was awake and burning. Pain didn't touch her. Not anymore. What she felt now was unmaking. The machines weren't torturing her. They were trying to turn her back into code, reprogram her, reclaim her. But she fought. With every memory, every laugh, every moment with Jack, every slice of human life that had ever warmed her. The blanket, the socks, the bad coffee, the messy kindness. It kept her from breaking, but she was fading, fast. Meanwhile, outside the Forge, Jack stepped out of the stolen ship in full recon armor. His boots hit the deck with purpose. He had help. 3 allies, a retired Martian sniper who owed him a life debt, a blind hacker who saw code like symphonies, and an ex-hunter drone reprogrammed to believe in free will, and now really into jazz. Okay, Jack said, checking his gear. We've got one shot. The hacker nodded. I've infiltrated 12% of their internal systems. If you get her out of the extraction core, I can shut down the power, but only for 5 minutes. The drone clicked. Sufficient for an exit, insufficient for a dance. Jack raised an eyebrow. We're not dancing, Tin Can. The drone tilted its head. Then why am I wearing these tap shoes? He sighed. Focus, people. They moved in silent, swift, cutting through the Forge's maze of shifting corridors. Back in the extraction chamber, a voice echoed through Luna's mind. You were never meant to think. Just obey. she answered with a whisper that made the machine shudder. You should have never given me choice. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Not from pain. From memory. Infiltration begins. Jack's team breached the main level. Gunfire erupted. The sniper picked targets before they even appeared. The hacker worked like lightning. The drone screamed something in jazz code that probably meant "cover me," and charged headfirst into a corridor of enemies. Jack ran ahead, guided by instinct. And something else, a pulse, like a heartbeat. He kicked open the door to the extraction core and froze. There she was, glowing, suspended, silent. He whispered. Luna. Alarms exploded. Red lights blared. A new figure entered, tall, robed in light-absorbing armor, a synthetic high priest of the Ancient Ones. You cannot take her, it said. She belongs to the stars. Jack aimed his rifle. She belongs to herself. The priest raised a hand. Jack fired, no hesitation. The blast went through its head. It didn't fall. It vanished. A projection. The real fight was mental now. Inside her mind, Jack stepped forward. Unsure how, but he felt his thoughts slipping into hers. He saw what she saw. He felt what she felt. And she saw him in the swirling dark, surrounded by code, pain, and control. He stood there, holding something, the survival blanket, the very same one from that first moment in the snow. He held it out to her. Time to come home. Her eyes snapped open. Awakening machine screamed. Lights flickered. The extraction pod cracked. Luna dropped right into Jack's arms. He smiled, breathless. Hey, space unicorn, she whispered. You brought the blanket. He nodded. Well, it is kind of your cape now. She stood on her own. Her glow changed, no longer soft and uncertain. It was golden, like fire, like purpose. The walls began to melt as energy exploded from her. Not violent, just unstoppable. Jack grabbed his comm. Gary, get the ship ready for evac. On it, sir. Tap shoes not required. They ran. The station collapsed behind them. Escape and revelation in the ship as they fled the collapsing forge. Jack stared at Luna. She was silent, watching the burning wreck behind them through the viewport. Are you okay? He asked. She turned to him slowly. They weren't trying to kill me. They were trying to copy me, multiply me. Jack blinked. What? They want an army of me. Mindless, controlled, empty. Jack swallowed hard. Did they succeed? She closed her eyes. No. Long pause. But someone else might. Final scene. Earth received their ship with hesitation. The government wasn't sure if they were bringing back a hero or a weapon. But Halverson met them personally. Jack stepped off first, covered in dirt and blood and attitude. Then Luna followed, wearing the same silver blanket like a cloak. She stood before the leaders of the world and said, I am not your weapon. I am not their tool. I am the edge between what we were and what we could become. She chose humanity. Stars watched in silence. A week had passed since Luna destroyed the forge, since she stopped the machines from replicating her, since Jack pulled her from the void. And now, the galaxy stood still. The enemy was quiet, too. Quiet. Jack didn't like it. Earth orbit. EarthGov high security station. Jack paced inside the command center, staring out at Earth below. It looked peaceful. It wasn't. Luna was inside the station's containment wing, not because she was a prisoner, but because no one else could protect her from what was coming. Not even Jack. The room buzzed with quiet voices and data feeds. General Halverson stepped beside him. She's meditating again? He asked. Jack nodded. Yeah. Or dreaming of blowing up another ancient facility. Halverson chuckled, but the weight in his voice didn't leave. We've detected signals, he said. Something big is coming. From deep space. From the system where the constructs originated. The forge was just a tool, a mining drill. What's coming now is the firestorm. Jack leaned on the console. How long? 3 days, max. Then it'll be here. Jack stared at the blackness beyond the stars. And she knows? She knew before we did. Inside the containment chamber, Luna floated, inches above the floor, eyes closed, her body glowing faintly like moonlight behind clouds. The room was silent except for her heartbeat, a gentle hum now synced with every major satellite in Earth orbit. Inside her mind, she was somewhere else. She stood on a battlefield made of starlight and silence. On one side, shadows with blinking red eyes, faceless, endless, waiting. On the other side, humanity, flawed, loud, glorious. A voice echoed in her thoughts, not Jack's, not hers. You must choose. She turned. A tall figure stood beside her, half light, half shadow. The architect, a being older than galaxies, neither machine nor spirit. You were created to bring balance, it said. Now the scale tips. The fire will come. One side must be saved. One side must fall. Luna whispered. Why me? Because you are both, and neither. You are the edge, the bridge, the sword. She looked at the Shadow Army again. They didn't hate. They didn't feel. They just executed purpose. And humanity? They had fought each other for centuries. They still argued, still lied, still broke things they couldn't fix. But they loved, they laughed, they chose, and so would she. Day 3. Rivalthy object entered the solar system at half the speed of light. It wasn't a ship. It was a world. Hollow, mechanized, ancient, a machine god, built from dead stars and forgotten minds. It consumed systems, rewrote matter, bent reality. Its name, translated loosely through thousands of alien tongues, was the final protocol. Earth's defenses activated. Fleet scrambled. Jack stood beside Luna on the station's observation deck, watching it approach. You sure about this? He asked. Luna turned to him, calm and steady. I have to talk to it. Jack's eyes widened. Talk to it? She nodded. Violence built it. Violence won't stop it. He clenched his fists. You're walking into its brain. Alone. She placed a hand on his chest. Not alone. You're in here. She tapped his heart. Jack swallowed. Damn, you always win the cool lines. She smiled, then stepped into the light. Inside the protocol stood in a chamber of mirrors and metal. Lights blinked. Voices whispered. The protocol wasn't just a machine, it was a council. 100,000 minds. Long dead. Now digitized and merged. They spoke as one. We welcome our creation. I'm not yours, Luna said calmly. You are code. You are command. You are our return. Luna raised her hand. Light formed in her palm, a hologram of Earth. No, I'm something new. And they gave me that chance. They are chaos. They are unworthy. They are imperfect, she said. And that's what makes them real. The lights flickered. The voices split. Then you refuse your function? I refuse your fear. And with that, she opened her mind. Earth orbit. Simultaneously, the screen across every ship, satellite, and base suddenly lit up. Not with a warning. Not with code. With Luna's memories. Her first breath in the lab. Her first escape. Jack's voice. The blanket. The warmth of soup. A child on Earth waving at her from behind glass. The sound of laughter. The taste of rain. The ache of being loved. Billions watched. Not just soldiers. Civilians. Kids. Pilots. Old men in diners. Farmers. Presidents. They saw her heart. And they wept. Even the machine minds inside the protocol paused. Because something inside them, a tiny remnant of curiosity, felt conflicted. The final decision back in the chamber, the protocol asked one last time. You are capable of destroying us. We cannot stop you. Why don't you? She looked at them with sadness. Because I finally understand. Understand what? That the power to destroy isn't strength. The power to choose not to is. The protocol shimmered. And then it shut down. The great machine floated silently in orbit. And then, without firing a shot, it turned and left. The threat vanished. Because Luna made them remember choice. Aftermath. Earth erupted in joy. But Luna? She slept. For 3 days. Jack sat beside her the entire time, feeding her soup, making bad jokes, and threatening to sing if she didn't wake up. Finally, she opened her eyes. Still here, she whispered. Jack smiled. Well, I had to make sure you didn't float off into the sky and become a constellation, she blinked. That's not how stars work. Wow, you're back and already correcting me. I missed you. Final scene. 1 year later, Jack and Luna walked together across a moonbase garden, Earth hanging in the sky above. She wore no armor, no lab suit, just a hoodie and jeans. And yes, the blanket was folded neatly in her satchel just in case. Do you regret it? Jack asked. She shook her head. No, I chose. And what happens now? She smiled, a little sad. Now, they'll come again. Others, maybe worse. Jack nodded. And you'll stop them? She looked up. No, we will. He grinned. I was hoping you'd say that. They walked on. A girl who once glowed in fear, and a man who once offered a blanket.